Have you ever wondered why you believe what you believe? Not just in God or love or success, but about yourself, about your worth, about what you're capable of and what you're not. Beliefs are not born from logic. They are forged in moments, moments of pain, fear, and survival. What we call truth is often just a scar that healed crooked. A belief is not just a thought, it's a filter, a lens through which we interpret everything. And most of our beliefs are invisible, automatic. We don't think them, they think us. Psychologically, beliefs are the mind's way of making sense of chaos. They give structure, identity, control. But trauma shatters structure. It shakes the foundations of safety, and from that rubble, new beliefs emerge. Often silent, often wrong, but powerful enough to shape a lifetime. Imagine a child standing in a room where love is conditional, where mistakes are punished, where silence is safer than expression. That child learns, not by words, but by the emotional weather in the room. I must be perfect to be loved. My needs are too much. If I cry, I'll be left alone. And so the belief is born, not in the mind, but in the nervous system. These are not just ideas. They become survival codes. Trauma doesn't always come from violence. It comes from disconnection, from invalidation, from being unseen. You start to confuse coping with character. Your defenses become your personality. You say, I'm shy, but maybe you were never safe to speak. You say, I'm not lovable, but maybe love was never modeled clearly. These aren't flaws, they're fragments. The brain did what it had to do to keep you alive, and in doing so, it built beliefs that made the pain make sense. Let's step outside ourselves for a moment and walk through time. Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher of will and power, grew up in deep grief, losing his father at 5, his brother at 6. He wrote of pain often, not just to understand it, but to conquer it. Carl Jung, whose quote opened this video, spent much of his youth isolated, watching his parents' troubled marriage. He later explored how hidden wounds shape the soul's architecture. Malcolm X, as a child, witnessed the murder of his father and the institutionalization of his mother. He grew from that chaos, not by forgetting his pain, but by transforming it into purpose. None of these men were untouched by trauma, but they did something radical. They met their beliefs face to face. Here's the painful part. What you believe is not always true, but it feels true. It feels like truth because it was born in survival. The brain favors safety over accuracy. So when you were rejected once, the belief I'm not good enough may have felt safer than asking why they rejected you. When you were abandoned, it was easier to believe I'm unlovable than to risk needing anyone again. These beliefs were armor, but armor hardens, and eventually, it becomes a cage. You can't think your way out of trauma-shaped belief. You must feel your way through it. This is the slow, sacred work of awareness. Recognizing that your inner critic is not your voice. Questioning your truths with curiosity, not judgment. And asking yourself, who gave me this belief, and do I still want it? Healing doesn't mean erasing the past. It means updating the story you've been living inside. It means realizing you are not broken. You are programmed, and you can reprogram. So let's return to the question, how does trauma shape belief? It plants seeds in silence. In moments when your voice was stolen, when your emotions were dismissed, when the world felt too sharp for your soft body. And those seeds, they grew into beliefs, into behaviors, into truths, but they are not the end of your story. The fact that you're watching this right now means something inside you knows. There's more to you than your past. There's more to you than your pain. And there's power in learning to believe again. You don't need to rush healing. You don't need to fix everything today. Just start with this. Notice the voice inside. Ask where it came from. And if it no longer serves you, thank it and let it go. Because real freedom begins when you stop confusing your wounds with your identity.